active when like defending.
I think it's like
people deluded. I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
Thank you very much for that, Ian. Right, people, deluded. I'm back again. Appreciative of all of you lot tuned in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. I hope you're doing well and safe. Now, we've all watched the Champions League again. Commiserations as much as I can give as an Arsenal fan to Spurs for going out. Paris Saint-Germain fans the same as PSG and Tottenham Hotspur went out to Bayern Munich and AC Milan respectively. Richarlison's come out and somewhat hit back and hit out at Antonio Conte. You know, he cost 60 million. I don't know who's the bigger idiot, Spurs or Richarlison. Richarlison for joining Spurs, you know, Spurs for spending how much money they spent on the guy. And I know personally, if I was Antonio Conte, with the headache I've probably got as a Spurs manager, just like Jose Mourinho, the one blank mark in your managerial reign is that, you know, you've gone to Spurs and they're both proven winners, not been able to win the trophy. And I know if my big money striker, you know, had less goals than Saliba and Lisandro Martinez and Benjamin White in the Prem, I'd want him to shut up on top of all the problems I have in my personal life and from a footballing point of view. I didn't agree with, you know, some of the, not that I care because it's Spurs, but I did think Conte is very negative, and I do think his football can be very outdated and whatnot, people. And he was making defensive subs. I know they were down to 10 men, but they're going out. Nonetheless, this season has been ish, let's call it. You know what he said there. Richarlison hits out at Antonio Conte in explosive interview, insisting he doesn't understand why Spurs boss starts him on the bench after dismal Champions League exit. I know Kulusevski ain't been in good form, but Kulusevski is better than you across 90 minutes and a better player. You're not playing ahead of Harry Kane. You're not playing ahead of Son, regardless of his Son's doing what he's doing. You knew this. You must have known this when you signed for Spurs. Not saying you can't force your way into the team and all of that jazz. Tottenham crashed out of the Champions League after their draw with AC Milan. Richarlison has questioned Antonio Conte for placing him on the bench. Now, playing devil's advocate, what are his teammates saying? Is his teammates thinking maybe he should play, maybe not? You've got to probably see the manager today in recovery session. I do like honesty from footballers, but you've got to be sensible. Realistically, probably signed a 4 or 5 year deal. He was always going to outlast Conte. So maybe there's a new lease of life, wherever the new gaffer is. But Richarlison blasted Tottenham manager Antonio Conte for not starting him on Wednesday evening after Spurs limped out of the Champions League with a goalless draw against AC Milan. In an explosive interview after the game, Richarlison questioned Conte for dropping him to the bench after victories over West Ham United and Chelsea. He also admitted in the interview that it's been an ish season. I didn't understand. I was playing well. We won against Chelsea and West Ham, and suddenly I was on the bench. I played 5 minutes against Wolves, asked the reason, and nobody told me why. They asked me to take a fitness test in the gym and told me I was going to start if I passed it, and I was on the bench. There are things I can't understand. There was no explanation. Sorry again. Let's see what Conte will tell us, but I'm not silly. I'm a professional that works hard every single day I want to play. I mean, you want to see players vex about playing. Maybe needs to play the game a bit better, but you could understand the man's frustration. There hasn't been enough minutes given to me this season, and forgive my language, it has been ish. That's what I didn't understand too, being in brackets, being a substitute. It was going well in a good sequence, 2 wins against West Ham and Chelsea. Suddenly Stinelli, who's, you know, the eyes and ears for Conte until he returned, put me on the bench against Wolves. He put me on for 5 minutes. I asked why. They didn't tell me anything because they don't believe, rightly or wrongly, they don't believe you're one of the stronger options at this moment in time to start. And yesterday they asked me to take a test at the gym, that if I was good, I would go to the game. And at the end and at the time of the game, they left me on the bench. These are things that is not possible to understand. I sympathize with Richarlison because that would be frustrating. Let's see what Conte will say tomorrow. But there are no fools here either. I'm a professional. I work hard every single day and I want to play. There are minutes left, time left. I suffered a little bit of injury, but when I enter the field, I give my life. I came from 2 games well. I think that's it. I think I should have played and I don't have to cry about it. Yeah, I've cried about it, people. Obviously, 60 million quid, 2 goals, great stuff, really and truly. There in that regards, people. There's frustration, of course. We are out of the biggest club competition. We can't play like that, needing to score. The team had to play more offensive. You ain't got an offensive coach. You haven't necessarily got expansive and real good playing centre halves. You haven't got the midfielders. It was never going to work. Conte's football is lovely when you're winning. Like football fans tried to tell Spurs this, but it's a bit like excluding what Jose's doing at Roma, but Jose of the last few years. When you're winning, it doesn't matter. again, Spurs set up not necessarily to win, but not to lose. And there isn't necessarily anything wrong with that. But people have read this and it looks outdated. It looks stale. They had a dismal transfer window on reflection. It is what it is, people. You know, he also said, you know, the team had to play more offensively, especially in the second half. There's not a lot to say now. We can't go chasing someone to take the blame. Now there's only the Premier League to play, which you're not winning that. And, you know, this search for silverware with Tottenham, last winning something in 2008, goes, you know, keeps going. Richarlison said we have 12 games to play now, and the focus is that. I tried to score as many goals as I can because the club has paid a lot of money for me. I haven't been given enough time on the back on the pitch yet. Wait, 2 goals. Wait. You know, Gabriel Jesus ain't played for Arsenal this year. He's got 3 more goals than you, but great goal in the World Cup. Fair to say my injuries didn't help and I haven't had enough minutes, but now I'll go home, rest, train, and we'll see if he, in brackets, Conte, puts me in the starting 11. I don't think talking, especially if Conte thinks his days are numbered, are gonna get you anywhere, people. Richarlison has only started 12 out of 25 games in all comps this season, people. Not quite sure how you would have necessarily helped, but you never know, people. Conte says the players and fans cannot hope for a miracle and be handed a trophy, rather calling for further patience and hard work. I'm really sorry for the fans. I'm really sorry, but we cannot invite the win. This is important to know this. We cannot invite the win or hope for a miracle one day that a trophy goes into our training ground or pitch. We have to build and have patience. I understand for the fans, they don't have patience because for a long time, Tottenham is not winning. But what I can promise is we'll continue to work really hard for this club to continue to improve, and then we'll see what happens. Well, there's no seeing unless, you know, mathematically it might be possible, but you're not going to win the league. So the search for silverware keeps going. Conte refused to speculate on his long-term future at Tottenham. You know, he's clearly waiting to get sacked so he gets his compensation or go back to Italy, or in my opinion, Conte will take some time off and be with his family. You know, he's had a tough time with you know, losing loved ones, thoughts are with his family as well, and obviously his health. I am under contract at Tottenham. Then we'll decide at the end of the season with the club. My contract expires in June. We will see. They might sack me even before the end of the season. Perhaps the expectations were higher and they may be disappointed. What matters for a coach is trying to work and raise the bar. This year we are struggling to raise the bar, so they're evidently going to get a new manager. I have to rebuild once again. You know, I don't think Conte wants to stay. I don't think Spurs probably want to keep him. A lot of the fans, you know, you pick up my guy Tapping Tobes. He went from waxing lyrical speaking about Conte is going to win a trophy to, you know, you look at every title of him and every Tottenham creator, it's all Conte out. So we'll have to see. I do think Spurs need to get an attacking coach or someone that, you know, wants to play attractive football, because Spurs is football at the moment. When you've got proven winners and you're top of the league, which they're not, and all of those things is great. It's not at this moment. I have a great relationship with my chairman, but that doesn't mean I don't tell them what my vision is. We will see. We have to finish the season. We have a contract until June. I'm happy to work in Tottenham, but at the end, I'll make a decision. The club knows my vision and my thoughts about the situation. I mean, banter aside, people, you know, they say a fish rots from the head first. You know, really and truly, there's a reason when you look at Conte's CV, Jose Mourinho's CV, they speak for themselves. You know, Levy needs to ask himself the questions where he really wants to take Tottenham Hotspur. You can actually extend that to Pochettino back when Harry Kane and Dele Alli were the guys, sort of thing. They've never quite built on a good base and really kicked on. And as you know, there's probably no such thing as stagnation, but Spurs have probably stagnated. I'd say there's no such thing as stagnation, people, purely because when you look at it in life, it's either you're making progress or you're going backwards. If you're stagnating, you're going backwards because you're not going forward, really and truly. So that's what happens, really. So now Spurs probably have to build around the very few select players. You know, I do like Romero as much as I can praise a Spurs player, not really playing well at all, really. But the Romeros, assuming they keep Kulusevski, he'll do well to somehow go back to Juventus. Harry Kane, if he's dumb enough to sign a new deal, and obviously Son and a couple of players are missing out of that ilk. They need to build around them. Clearly, they need to fix the spine. Spurs need a couple of centre mids. They need a long-term goalie. They need a change in philosophy, but, you know, managers can't work miracles, really and truly. There's a reason Jose and Conte have not won anything at Spurs, despite Jose getting to a final. There's a reason Pochettino weren't quite able to kick on, regardless what you say about those managers, really. You know, Daniel Levy seems more, I love it as an Arsenal fan, but more concerned with getting WizKid and Beyonce and boxing matches and NFL then kicking Spurs on, really, which is great for me because they say all they waffled about is power shift and all this. Not the fans, well, some of them talking about power shifts and this is a more attractive place than Arsenal to be and all this jazz. But fair enough, people. You know, I just thought let's try and get some neutral vids out there on the channel. Let me know your opinions, people. Comment as well. Subscribe if you haven't. Don't forget we're watching Sporting Lisbon against Arsenal. Someone from North London has to be in Europe, don't they? So yeah, shout to Giroud as well for dumping these boys out. But yeah, banter aside, bless up everybody for watching. Hope you lot are in good health. I'm going to love and leave you lot. Comment your opinions, smash the like button, turn on your notifications, check out the rest of the content.
There's always just that active red flag defending.
I think it's like